Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Facing the Facts. We're so happy to have you here. We hope you've been having a great weekend so far. So here on Delhi TV, the team and I, we've been working to ensure that we bring you just the very interesting topics that would add some value to your lives. So for today, we have a very interesting one, and we're hoping that you will see this through. So we're working hard to ensure that we bring you topics of insight as your audience that we value very much. Therefore, today we will be looking at what is in a name. As Africans, we have a great tradition of telling our history and stories of our lives using names, or even using names to pave the way for a better future for the newborn child. Though there have been unfortunate situations where names arose from bitterness, quarrels, and thoughts of resignation, people obviously now know better. But in the past 2 decades, there has been a considerable decline in Africans giving their children African names. Could it be because we simply do not know the reason behind this culture to appreciate it a bit more? Or is it the globalization wave that is making us dilute it in favor of Western names? Or does lack of knowledge lead to an inferiority complex on the strength and power of having your identity and identification in a name? So our guest today, who will guide us throughout the discussion, has a strong anthropological background. He is an anthropological researcher and is currently a fellow at the Bamenda-Bambili University. He has written extensively on African literary works and their significance and relation to a deep African past. He's also a specialist in post-colonial literature. He's enrolled as a PhD student in the Department of English at the Bamenda-Bambili University. Apart from his writings and academic research works, he has been a resource person in popular CRTV program shows on culture, particularly in Sok culture. He has equally researched and published articles in magazines and cultural journals on Sok culture and orature. As a researcher of anthropology, he has two works that he's contributed in this fair, and his contribution to the Anglophone Cameroon literature in particular can be found in his master's dissertation, The Ransom Discourse of Salvation in Anglophone Cameroon Literature, an unfinished project in Kemgong Kengsongs Across the Mongolo, and Epin Gomez, What God Has Put Asunder. So everyone, without further ado, let's welcome Edward Fonyuy Bulami. So Edward, welcome. Edward, can you hear us? Or perhaps you're getting me a bit afterwards. Hello, Edward, can you hear us? Sorry, everyone, please bear with us. I think because of connectivity issues, there is a bit of slowness in the message getting across to him. So it would just need a lot of patience for us to work this through. So Edward, welcome to Facing the Facts. Can you hear me? Sorry, Edward, if you can hear me, we can't hear you.
Thank you for that. I'm really honored to be part of the Delhi TV. Shortly, it's really great honor, and I think we're going to have a good time.
That's wonderful. So before we proceed, we just wish to remind you, our audience, to send in your questions and comments throughout the interview, and we'll be sure to pass them on to Edward Bulami to give you some responses. So just to check again to make sure that Edward is here with me.
Sorry, I get you.
No, Edward, I was just telling our audience to be sure to send in their questions for you as the show carries on so that I can pass them on to you. So Edward, I'm hoping that you can hear me. So let's start from the beginning. You're very.
I didn't get you well, Father.
I said I was just telling our audience to send.
I didn't get you.
I was telling our audience to send through their questions for you. You might want to get off the headphones. stop using headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, it does interrupt. If you disconnect the headphones, it might get better, the audio.
I can't really get.
Disconnect the headphones. Disconnect the headphones. Disconnect the headphones.
Okay. No, I'm getting you very well. I'm getting you now.
Yes, but what will help is if you got off the headphones, because sometimes the headphones interrupt with certain platforms depending on the sort of headphones that you have.
I just one question. Okay.
Yeah, the headphones. So if you take off the earbuds thing, it might help for you
And
to
if I
hear. Yeah. Okay, I hope that that's much better
let me
now.
see if I can get you well.
Okay, marvelous. Because what happens when you have headphones is when I speak, it takes a long time for it to get to you. That's what was happening. So, anyways, we're starting from the beginning, and you are very interested in culture. You're passionate about traditional
Hello.
orature and post-colonial literature. So, when did your love affair with these subjects begin? You didn't get my question. Edward, we can't hear you. I don't know if we can if you can hear us, but we're not able to hear you. Did you get my question?
I didn't get you.
Did you get my question?
Yes.
Okay, so the floor is open to you.
Sorry about that.
Do you want me to repeat the question or did you get it?
Oh God.
Can't hear you.
When you are talking, you feel some.
We're not. Sorry, Edward, are you connected to your headphones? It might be a good idea to disconnect it and rely on your normal audio.
I didn't. I didn't.
Sorry? All right. So we're having some connectivity issues there, and I do apologize for that. So while Edward is trying to sort that out, it's rather unfortunate. He's based in Cameroon, so where he is, I suppose the network is not been as good. So we've just been trying to get on that. But we'll carry on regardless, and we'll ask you, our audience, to also feedback to us some of your cultural or traditional practices when it comes to naming your children, because this show is about, trying to look into why there's been a steady decline in how we name children using African names. So we were going to talk more around an interesting paper that Edward wrote, which is Naming and Christening, dissecting the biospiritual anguish in salt converts after baptism. But though it's relating to salt, but it's also something that we can see replicated in other parts of Cameroon, especially in the Grassfields, where the culture is kind of similar, and to some extent in the southwest region. So this show was inspired by some of the elements that were raised in that paper. I think Edward is back with us again. I will try this and we'll see. Edward, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm getting.
Can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'll go back to my initial question, which was
You
like,
now.
okay, that's great. I'll go back to my initial question, which was about your interest in culture, your passion for traditional orature.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, that's great. I'll go back to this question, which is about your interest, your passion. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I grew up in a very traditional setup. The son of a traditional title holder and traditional ruler initiated in the South. So I grew up in the what can call the center of traditional culture in the society. The interest developed in me, and I was like having this studies that I understood that what I was actually going through, witnessing with my father, witnessing with my society, was in effect building something in me, my identity. And that identity is what have as an interest to preserve, to promote, and to preserve. That's why I saw that interest in my culture, in my orature, because I saw that all of gives me my identity. It gives my identity, and it makes me feel belonging. That's what actually comes in orature and in they give me my identity.
Okay. We kind of struggled to get you there because there was a lot of breaking. I'm not sure if you hear this. If you can repeat your response to us, please, because I know that the network is terrible. And so yeah, we only got like bits and pieces of what you just said.
Okay, yeah. What I was saying is that the interest I have in culture for the literature, all of that came up from my interest in having my identity preserved, my interest in promoting my culture, my interest in being part of my culture and belonging. So this is the fact that I grew up in, like being imbibed into me. Not my conscious, and it led my efforts to develop that interest in orature, the cultural studies in my orature, and as for students, that now build that capacity to be able to value the cultural aspect that I couldn't value when I was still like a child enjoying it for the sake of enjoyment.
Okay, so I think I'll try and paraphrase what I thought you said. So you grew up surrounded by culture. You saw it practically. You lived it, especially growing alongside your dad, and so it is what actually embedded your sense of identity, and is something that you then developed a passion for. And obviously, that part of traditional orature that you live through is what also pushes you. Is that correct? Edward, did you hear me? Okay, I think, like we said, the network is really, really terrible. And so that's what is causing all of this.
What is this? Yeah. I think it's really, really terrible. And so that's what is causing all of this. Yeah, well, I'm able to follow you from who are following you live on Facebook. I'm able to follow you
No, you can't be following me live on Facebook
from
because
you.
if you're following me live on Facebook, then what will happen is it interferes with the system. So you need to come out of the Facebook. You need to come out of the Facebook page. You need to stop following the show because it's crossing the lines.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
Okay, another thing we could try is I call you.
You like that.
Another thing I could try doing is I call you on WhatsApp instead, and we put up your picture, and we then try to get the message across that way. Is that
you
okay?
with you elsewhere apart from being in the program.
Okay. So I have this idea, and I think that I will do this because it's a lot better than what we have on the screen. So Edward, if you can hear me, what I'm going to do is I will call you on WhatsApp so that we will get your audio. And so that's how people can hear you, if you can hear me now. So I will call you on your WhatsApp right now. All right, people, thank you for bearing with us. So we're going to do that. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Indeed, Cyril, the network is really terrible. We'll try WhatsApp, and I hope that works. Because Edward has quite a lot to say, and it would be a shame if he couldn't share that with us today and we had this discussion with his input. Right. So I am calling him on WhatsApp. Let's hope he can connect on there. Right, so I'm not sure. I think it's a network. He is not on WhatsApp yet, so I'm going to try and get him on there. And in the meantime, I will just be discussing some of the items with you, and if everyone can, comment and give their input, that would really be grand. So I will do that while waiting for him to get onto WhatsApp. So please bear with us. It's really frustrating with this network issue because it would have been so smooth. But there we have it. That's how things go. Right. Trying to get Edward to go to WhatsApp. I hope you can see that. Okay, so let's carry on whilst I wait for Edward to join me on WhatsApp. So in bringing together this topic, I already mentioned that Edward wrote a paper that kind of addressed this, even though he was very much looking at the Salt context, because most of the tribes or groups within the Grassfields and in the Southwest as well, they kind of share similar culture. They have cultural similarities. So someone is calling me. Right, that's Edward. Hi, Edward. Can you hear me? Hello? Yes, Edward, can you hear me? You're on speakerphone to the group, to everyone.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I cannot hear you well.
Okay. I want to ask our listeners to
5.5, I'm getting you.
Okay. I want to ask the listeners if they can hear you. So everyone, can you please indicate if you can hear Edward? Because I have him on speakerphone and I don't know if you can hear him. So please in the comment sections, let me know so that we can carry on. Can you hear Edward when he was just talking? I put him on speakerphone. All right, Edward, I'm just waiting for people to key in. So our first question was actually asking you how you developed the interest in culture and your passion for traditional orature and post-colonial literature. So when did your love affair with these subjects begin? Because we weren't able to get that part of the discussion because the network was really disturbing.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. I was saying that I was born and bred in So and particularly in Kumbu and around the palace. And I am the son of a lineage head who is among the 7 Tanto who are the front messengers in the So palace. In that setup, I grew up in that setup, and unconsciously in me, not knowing that yes, that this culture was going to be something that was going to push me into some sort of limelight later in my life. It is only when I went further in my studies that I understood that I had taken a lot of culture in me.
Yeah.
And many who like me, many who like me are part of that may not understand the importance of that.
Yeah.
Except has gone further in academic pursuits. So it is in the course of my studies, because while at my degree level, I did African literature as a specialization, and then at the master's level, I did post-colonial studies as my specialization under literatures and literatures in English. So you see, gradually I was using what I have been taking in from childhood to now project, to now deep into the identity of my people, because I now understood that what I was growing up in was my identity. Identity to be known to the rest of the world, I must bring it to the academic field. It is through the academic world that the entire culture and tradition could easily get to the rest of the world. And I want to think that if Daily TV today is asking me to talk orature and tradition, culture, and all of that, it is because they must have discovered that I have been writing a lot about my people, my identity, which is also identity, and universally the African identity. That's how I came about this. So in my academic pursuits, teaching that orature towards my African identity.
Okay, so you're part of a recent project titled Bearing Witness, Poems from a Land in Turmoil, which is edited by Dibusi Tande and Dr. Joyce Ashuntangtang. So your poems are like excerpts from an unpublished collection that you titled A Life Without Ecstasies, Letters to Martha, My Twin Sister. Can you tell us a bit more about this collection? What about your twin sister inspired them?
What happens in the life of a people is when events are taking place and nobody is there to be taking notes, especially to be taking deep. So many people are, you discover that many people are just spectators in things that happen. They don't want to keep records of these things. And as a literary student, I keep my own records through writing, either writing through poetry or through theater or in prose form, or tell the stories in my orature, that or in songs and all of that. So the life without ecstasies. There is one statement in one of the poems that I always have in my mind, that ecstasies are only noted and postponed, because the present situation of those who are living the experience out in when ecstasy does not to just note your ecstasy in your room or wherever you are in your party and all of that. You only note your ecstasy and you postpone it maybe some other time to celebrate it, because if you celebrate it, somebody will ask you, we are in this type of a state and you are in this type of a condition and you are celebrating your ecstasy. No. So that is what I look at it in the form in Life Without Ecstasy. One of the poem, my poem that you will find in Bearing Witness is titled Country Sunday. And I still go back to my roots. I say in so where I come from, we have 8 days a week. Okay, we have carry Ravai Kilovensari Gate. Now there are 2 days that are considered as sacred days, which is Kilov and Ravai. Now there is the modern or the country Sunday that has come as a result of the struggle. Now, when when Kilove or Rove, which are my country Sundays,
yes,
when that one comes to meet the Kilove or Rove, who are the gods that have to be respected?
mm-hmm.
I to bring out the fact that when it is Kilove or Rove, it is as if the so gods have withdrawn for the Odeshi gods to take the streets. And there is nobody, no God is on the street. So that is the consequence of what we have as the socio-political climate in a traditional society like the society. Implicitly, what I mean is that the values are, the traditional and cultural values are losing their hold. While because of what? Because of globalization, because of the fact that the globalization has come with the destruction of cultural boundaries. People have cultural values that are strange to the society. Then so people do not know what they call Odeshi. They do not. There are certain values that have just come in there, which have come because of the globalization, because the world has become a global village. And yes, so they get those either from the social media, they now get their values from there, they get values from television, they get values from elsewhere, and now culture is losing their ground. That's what I actually mean in my poem, The Country Sunday, which you will find in bearing.
Okay.
Bearing witness him. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you.
Is out.
All right, so thank you for extrapolating on that. So just to throw it out to our audience, because we're trying not to make this very centric, because you have audience from different tribes, and so we're trying to be as representative as possible. So we want to ask our audience members to share experiences in their different tribes on how, what is the significance of Country Sunday for you? Is it about respecting your traditional gods? Or is it about resting and not going to the farms? What is the significance of Country Sunday in your tribe? Please be sure to put the comments in the section below, and I will be sure to read that out for everybody else to learn, and indicate what your tribe is when you give your comments, please. So Edward, just to carry on, you have been the pioneer Secretary General of the Department of English Postgraduate Research Forum of the University of Bamenda from 2018 till date. So what does this entail?
I think it is one of the added value, the added values in my career, career. First, in my academic profile, to have been the pioneer Secretary General of a prestigious university, the place to be, like the University of Bamenda. I think it is something very great, and that is one of the things that pushed me into a lot of research, because I have written much, and you may write much anywhere. It is not yet consumed as we are consuming now. It doesn't. You haven't written anything. My presence as a Secretary General of the English Department Research Forum has actually given me a lot of push for me to continue and to go deeper in my research work.
Okay, so what do you do in that position for the university?
Yeah, we organize workshops, conferences. We have organized. As Secretary General, we have organized already 2 conferences in the University of Bamenda, and as a Secretary General, and in collaboration with the ESCO, we have universities representing the University of Bamenda, and then getting a wealth of knowledge to come back and then talk with our classmates and those who are involved in research, so that they understand the importance of the research. So those are the activities we try to organize, and we are in the process of publishing a magazine. Okay. Or a journal of the department from the articles that students and lecturers presented during the conferences that we have had.
Okay, that's great to hear. So you're also currently doing a PhD at the University of Bamenda-Bambili. Do you mind sharing what your thesis is about?
It's on. I'm doing what they now call interdisciplinarity, interdisciplinary research. I became so much interested in bioethics, and I have proposed my thesis to be on orature and the bioethical foundations of land, trying to examine the power of the spoken word in healing of the society.
Okay. Sorry, we missed you out there for a bit, but we have a comment here from Emma Aqua, who says, I come from the Ngwe tribe in Lebialem division. We're very religious people, just like many other tribes in Anglophone Cameroon. Thus, Country Sunday is basically a day to rest, and farm work or any other type of labor is prohibited. Okay. Thank you very much, Emma Aqua, for sharing that with us. So if other people do have similar things to share about their Country Sunday and its significance to their tribe, identify your tribe, identify the significance of Country Sunday. And as we move along, we'll be asking specific questions, and we want everyone to share their own experiences from their tribes. Thank you. So, Edward, thank you for that. So we're going to proceed because now at least people have a background of what you do. So you wrote an interesting paper recently titled Naming and Christening, Dissected the Biospiritual Anguish in salt converts after baptism. But I'm trying not to be very salt leaning too much. But of course, we can use examples from salt to inform what the messaging is about, but try to see if we can have similar identifiers in other tribes so that we're kind of representative to other people as well who would be following us, so they don't feel left out. So this show was actually inspired by some of the elements you raised in that paper. So let's begin here with the naming ceremonies and why they matter in an African context. You mentioned in your paper that unlike Western names given at baptism, African names are not given for convenience. Can you please explain a little bit more for our audience?
Yes, I think for us to even move into that, it would be better for us to even understand what a name actually is. Because if we don't, we may, another question may come up somehow. Because a name is, according to, let me take a simple one, a word or phrase. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a name is a word or phrase that constitutes the distinctive designation of a person or thing, and I add place. I won't go much into the definitions of that, but I would like to look at it in the African context. You will find out that I will give an example from Ivan Gandhi. He's from Bakosi. He's writing about Bakosi names, and he titles it Bakosi names, naming culture and identity. That you can read that in the Journal of African Cultural Studies. And so he says that naming practices are a significant communication act. Given names convey aspects of identity and circumstances and cultural conditioning. Although the impact of a given name on a person's everyday life is viewed as mostly symbolic, a given name is believed to have the power of motivating and inspiring the individual. So you see, names are not just given in the African society for giving sake. Names are important. If you go a little back out of the African society, you look at the Babylonian Talmud, they believe that if you change somebody's name, that changing someone's name is one of 4 main actions that can help to change someone's destiny.
Yeah.
So you understand that if you have to, yes, that is just to tell you the importance of names. Let me just take us a little into some. Recently, there was some fun circulating in the social media about one time African leader, the president of Uganda, who who of Uganda into, and then because as a consequence of that, one bold minister, one of his cabinet ministers, who was very bold, told him, Mr. President, this the people of Cyprus, they are called Cypriots. Yes. Now, if you give your name as the name of Uganda as Idi Amin, you know those whites, they will turn down and call us idiots. And that is how, according to the anecdotes, whether it is historical or not, according to the anecdote, Idi Amin withdrew his plan to change the name. And what did he tell the minister? You are one of the most intelligent people I have, very intelligent than your president. That is it. I just want you to know, to see that when you talk about the Cypriots, when you see somebody from Cyprus and you call him a Cypriot, the person will feel a lot of national pride in him. The person will feel belonging. The person will have that sense of dignity. But when you meet, if that name were to change, and then you meet somebody from that country that would have been called Idi Amin, and you call the person idiot, would that give him a sense of dignity? No. Okay, if we move further, look at the Alex Haley's roots, the saga of an American family here with Kunta Kinte.
Exactly.
This is a Gambian who has a naming culture.
Yeah.
And in that culture, he is called Kunta Kinte. And that culture, it is his identity. And it is also, it has a spiritual link with his ancestors and all of that. And then he's taken into slavery, and they are forcing the name Toby onto him. First, he does not understand English, so he does not even know what Toby means. And then secondly, that name Toby. So you see, he rejects that name till when he has to lose a leg. That is already to tell you the importance that if somebody has to lose a leg because he wants to keep his name, then you should understand that there is something serious in the name that has to be preserved.
Okay.
And when you look, yes, so the naming culture of Kunta Kinte, that is a naming culture that he identifies with. He doesn't identify with the naming culture, Toby.
Okay, so we will talk about this more in detail because we break it down in different levels. Otherwise, you'll answer all the questions in one question. So I'll pray on you to be very direct and succinct with your answers, so that because at least so that we can go through the other questions. So coming back to the Nsort naming culture, which you know so well, being in Salt Man yourself. So in Nsort, there's a connection between the naming ceremony with the burial of the umbilical cord. So in your paper, you explain that in Nsort tradition, a child is named the day after the child's umbilical cord, which in Nsort is called Kisui Kewan, drops. So the day the umbilical cord drops, that's when the child is named. So, and in quotes, you say, until this happens, the child stays without a name. When the umbilical cord drops, a ritual is carried out with it, and the cord is buried in front of the family house. On the spot where it is buried, one can identify a stone and a spear pinned there. The incantations carried out by the presiding priest are believed to bind the newborn with the spirit of the land. So you write about the burial of the umbilical cord for your sister and yourself as your twins, and you even recall the exact words encountered by the elder during that ceremony. So what is the significance of this tradition to a child and their identity and tying them to that land?
Yeah. You are very right, very correct. And I will not. I don't think that it exists only in. So if you read Shadrach and Abednego's Son of the Native Soil, you will see exactly the same procedure in Dudum. That's in Dudum clan. That ritual is called Ubu. Okay. And the child's umbilical cord is buried the plantain suckers behind the house, but it is buried in front of the house. And the importance of this act is that it bonds the child with the land and the ancestors. So it's that wherever the child is going in the world, the child is always homesick. And so, if you look, you study. Studies have shown maybe some sort of. Studies have shown that people like going home a lot, and they are of a certain generation, because recently the umbilical cord of children have been left in the hospitals, collected and kept. They are kept or they are taken away. We don't know, but that already. From that tradition, which is something that has to be decried. To us, it is done, and from observation, most of those whose umbilical cords are in the hospitals, I believe they are still there. Most of those whose umbilical cords are there, they hardly have that that nostalgia to go home. I think it is something for studies. Again, I'm not saying that it is confirmed. Someone needs to make the studies to confirm that. So we are saying that the umbilical cord, which is called in so case Suikiwan, it is or Kilokiwan. There are two. So when it is buried, it ties the child. Okay. There is it bonds the child to the society, and the child is always homesick.
Okay. So, I wasn't aware until I read your paper that, apart from or generally maybe even the Grassfields, I know of Ghana and Togo and some parts of Cote d'Ivoire where children are named after a day on which they were born, or if they are twins. Of course, we do know that we have this Mani and Tani when they've got twins, or maybe in certain cultures in the Grassfield or the Anglophone regions. I'm not sure about the other Francophone expanse area, also in the north of Cameroon. If they do practice that. So in your paper, you talk about the fact that there is a culture of naming children depending on the day on which they are born or on their position at birth. In So, you highlighted that the first male child into Nsot family was named Lukong, while the second was Tata, and the third is Chukov, and the fourth is Ngong, and so on. And it went the same with the female children, as the first was named Yekong, the second is B, and the third is Ntang, and the fourth Shi. And I think the Yoruba and Igbo have a similar way of naming children. So, it was not unusual for children to be named around events surrounding their birth, whether good or bad. But why do you think that is not so much in practice now? Is it that we've forgotten? Like, take me, for example, I didn't know about naming the first son Lukong or the first daughter that, even in my own culture. So I don't know for other people and their own cultures. So why do you think that this practice is very much not, it's in decline?
Yes. You are very correct. Maybe I even give an example too about the naming. I worked in the Southwest, and I took note of the fact that twins in Banyangi land, twins are called Mamu and Ayama. Yes, and Ayama. And then when you hear with the Muslims, when you hear Hassan, then you know that there is Husseini. Or when you hear of Asana, you know that there is Husseina. Those are some other examples. Why are we talking about these names? Why are we no more seeing these names? The fact is the arrival of the colonial masters. That is the dividing point where people started losing their identities. They started losing their identities because with the coming of the white man, they now came in with religious practice called Christianity. And so in the course of baptism, one had to take a foreign name, which is called a Christian name. And that is how most of these names, most of the names that our people had, they started losing grounds, because they are those who were converted who preferred to identify themselves with the Christian names, believing that the names given them from their culture were names that were associated with the hidden world.
Okay. Yeah. So just
they didn't see yeah.
Yeah. So just following up on that, because you've mentioned the coming of religion, Christianity or Islam, and in your paper you talked about teaching in a Muslim school in Kumbo, where all the children thought had clearly very Arabic names, and if you didn't hear them speak Lamso, you would never link them with the Arabic names to any place in or in Cameroon, not to talk of. So the coming of religion have clearly distorted and disrupted this practice enormously. Like in the case of Sot, where you find a Muslim person with only Arabic names and no indication of their identity through their name, like your paper highlighted. So how do we get people to reconcile their religious practices and the traditional culture, which is at loggerheads with the foreign religion that promises religion, which is often, or that promises absolution, which is often absent in the traditional belief system?
Yeah, I know there were some breakages in the discussion. I mean, in the questions, but I got one thing about you see the names, the Christianity and Islam are two religions that have come to stay. Yes, they have come to stay, and one would be very unrealistic to think that this means Christianity and Islam from our land. It is another religions. But what is very clear is that you are first the person from where you were born before you become a Muslim or a Christian. And so your identity is in your name that you have. Christianity or Islam are there to uplift in a way our spirituality, our morality, which is the same thing that our traditional religions have been doing over time. These religions, and so I believe that still become Christians, we can still become Muslims using our own names, rather than copy names from the Judeo-Christian tradition, rather than copy names from the Arab world to give to our children as some sort of identity. Because the first thing you find with these names is that the understand of the name, the person does not. And the worst one with my own people is that you give name. I mean, people take names when they cannot even pronounce the names. They came from the Western world, and so if we are actually giving those names, I can give you some examples. If you read in some of the works from, let's say, Lanan, you get something like Teresa. Somebody will pronounce it as Teresia. My name, which I don't really, is Edward, but you get many people say Edward. Okay, all of that. It doesn't reflect again the source from which it came. So why insist on giving names first to people when they don't even understand the meaning of it? And these names are a distraction to their spirituality, because in their spirituality, their names have a lot of attachment to their ancestral worlds. I give you an example. Yes. If you read Kenya Jumbam, the White Man of God,
yes,
you would see that there is a serious attempt by the daughter.
yes.
By the daughter, yes, to convert
Her mother.
the mother called Yaya
Yeah.
into Christianity. But Yaya is resisting it first because the nature of worship in Christianity does not tie with the in the soul tradition. So what resist it till when she is on her death bed, and on her death bed, for the love of the children, she tells the daughter, go and call father to come and pour that thing on me. She calls it that thing on me, and when that is done, before she dies, she tells the daughter, if on reaching the other world, my husband does not recognize me because of the new name that you people have given me, I will tell him that I did it for the love of the children. She has taken the name Maria, and she is going to meet the husband, and that husband will not be able. They have changed her identity, and they have almost changed her destiny. That is to tell you the importance of names, and why the names of the Africans are so important to them. As I said, Ivan Gandhi says it is a communicative act. Because when you go to perform sacrifices, you must, first of all, from the word of the ancestors, you must do what? You must identify yourself with your name, and then invoke the spirit of your own ancestors, so that from amongst the ancestors, your own ancestor will now come up to answer you. If you there is this Mazizi Kunene's poem titled "The Bond." In the bond, you see it there, where before the grandmother, on dying, leaves behind a ground between herself and the children. And then when the children go to talk to her, the first thing they do is self-introduction. I, Gumedi, son of Daba, here I am. I have come to present the grinding stone of my mother, Masilela. So that is how you see how the living are attached to the ancestors, and the names play a lot in that identification. Yeah, so you take, you give a child, you change somebody's name, you have changed the person's fate, you have changed the person's destiny. That's what I hold when it comes.
Okay, so you.
Yeah.
So you quoted Liseli Fitzpatrick paper in your own work, and it states the following investigation, following his investigation on the impact of naming practices imposed on the African slaves by their slave masters. So we see African names and naming practices on the African continent, the United States, and the Caribbean is not merely as elements of cultural retention, but also as forms of resistance and their construction of identity and memory for persons of African descent. As such, his study examines how European colonizers attacked and defiled African names and naming systems to suppress and erase African identity, since names not only aid in the construction of identity, but also concretize a people's collective memory by recording the circumstances of their experiences. Thus, to obliterate African collective memories and identities, the colonizers assigned new names to the Africans or even left them nameless as a way of subjugating and committing them to perpetual servitude. So Africans are more educated today and know better, but are still not doing better in retaining and maintaining the richness of the culture through naming identification. Why do you think that is?
Hello?
Yes, hello. Did you get my question?
Hello?
Yes.
I didn't get I didn't get the question at the end.
So the question was that Africans are more educated today and they know better, but are still not doing well in retaining and maintaining the richness of the culture through their naming identification. So why do you think that is?
That Africans are not doing much to retain their names.
Yeah, because today we know better.
Question?
The question is, previously we would have said Africans are subjugated, and so they changed their names and they were powerless because they didn't know better. But now they're more educated and should do better, but they aren't. Why is that?
Okay, they are more educated, but they aren't changing the names. Is
Yes,
that
yes.
the concluding part of the question?
In essence, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Why are Africans the ones that are educated? They are not doing much to change the names. You know, first the many of what I've discovered with many Africans is that some take names for the delight of having okay, look at we need new names.
Yes.
Non-violent.
No violence.
Somebody is called Darling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find Darling. What I mean, you call a child, Darling, like I got somebody naming a child Sydney just because of the Olympic game, and then because Sydney is beautiful in the mouth, you baptize your child as such, and then I got another one, Montiel. Montiel, just because the child was born in the 90s when they were playing Mondial. So you see, the many are getting names because of the sound, because of the beauty in the pronunciation and all of in the tongue. I mean, it is very common with Francophone Africa. Jean de Dieu, this, and all of that, those high sounding names.
Yeah.
But then, many do not give a deep thought. First, because they are too. I mean, the religiosity in them has moved from the African traditional religion to the Christianity or this, and so they have a lot of Christianity has taken a greater part of their identity.
Mm-hmm.
So they would prefer to keep their they won't. I mean, they believe that the African names are not names that are worth keeping. They don't see it. I mean, it is also from. I mean, it comes a lot also from this. Movement, migration. You know, migration, and then trying to get into as they are interacting with people, they are trying to also integrate in those cultures. So integrating in the cultures and then taking up names of those of the people with whom they are.
I mean, it's very funny that in trying to. It's very funny that in trying to integrate. Yeah, it's very funny that in trying to integrate, Africans choose to instead lose themselves. Because when you look at the Asian community, you find people here who are like fourth or fifth generation, and they would have their Asian names to end. Like you see a Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan name that is like 18, letters, and they will give it to their children, even though they're like third or fourth generation. So I'm not sure why we do what we do.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
did you not hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, did you not hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah. Yes, I think there is a big maybe from what you said. Let me just quote from Maestro Cecil Hume, the poet. He said, the first thing that is a shame, African people with European names. If you hear Secharan, Ramkalawan, Lashan, Bashan, well, bet you life that is an East Indian man. Jose, Juan, Gonzalez, Manuel, Sanchez, Pablo, you sure them fellas from America, from Mexico. So why not name? Why my name couldn't be Jaka, Lumumba, Makeba, or Kenyatta? If we use these names, then we sure to be on the stairway to true Black identity. Now, some people around in Danshiki, some people Ashanti, some Swahili. But when they dead, go and look at the tombstone. Is Patterson, Atkinson, Jackson, Cullen. That is counterfeit identity. This is where I hold also with what you have just said. What we carry around, because we want to please the rest of the world. As Maestro believes that it is why not be a Christian with an Indian name? Why not be a Christian with a Mexican name if you come from? The Africans are doing so, and so this is a fight that you identify in the literary works of most of the Africans. They name their writer, their characters in their stories, giving African names. But when you go to read, let's say their bibliography or what, you find them with the names, what they call Christian names or English names, protruding there. So I admire this is where these are some of the people that inspired me in all of this. Some of the dons, university dons, and the intelligentsia from my land. Kenjo Jumbam, Kenjo Jumbam is one of them. Nobody ever knew that Kenjo Jumbam was Stanislaus until I got it, but from a radio the discussion where someone mentioned that name. I've never known that he was Stanislaus. That is someone who was consciously keeping his identity. Today, you will hear about Veki Jika Fanso, a renowned professor of the University of Yaoundé. You will never hear few people will know what she stands for. They are in that university. There was also Professor Chem Lange of late. Nobody ever knew he was called Francis. Nobody ever knew he was called Francis. And then recently, the outgone, the director of ENS, Bambili, Bamenda-Bambili, he had suppressed the name Augustine because of the embarrassment the Kijika and Chemlange, the embarrassment they got while they were studying in Canada and where a classmate asked them what Francis, what Godfrey, what Augustine meant to them, and from then they suppressed the names. So that's, to me, those some consciousness, and that consciousness is reflected in the naming of their children. Where I have studied, or I've gone to them and I've discovered that their children do not have any English name or any English name. Let me not call it a Christian name, because even in sort there.
Okay. So You quoted Ivor Ngade, and we spoke about him earlier, and you talked about his paper that he wrote in the Journal of African Cultural Studies on Bakosi names, naming culture and identity. And so you quoted him saying, naming practices are a significant communicative act. Given names convey aspects of identity, social circumstances, and cultural conditioning. Although the impact of a given name on a person's everyday life is viewed as mostly symbolic, a given name is believed to have the power of motivating and inspiring individuals. Now, what are your thoughts on the power of a name over a child's destiny? Do you think it is superstitious to think a name can determine how well or badly a child turns out?
Testament. In the Old Testament, it is stated there that God spoke to his people through their names. And that the names that were given the names that the Africans give to their people, they are names that have spiritual attached. I mean, they are names that come from their gods. It comes from their ancestry, from their ancestral world, and all of that. So the names are the names they speak people who bear them. I have a very good example in coming back home to give just example. There was a military guy in Seoul who was called Sube. Sube means carry the load of others on you, or you take you carry the destiny of other people onto you. And this guy, the circumstances within in which he died, actually confirmed his name, because he just came from Yaoundé, and as he was moving around town, two guys had a squabble, and he came in to separate. Since he was of the rank of a captain or so, or lieutenant, I don't really know the rank very well. He had his gun within his civilian attire, and one of the guys just removed the gun, and that is how this guy carried the destiny of another person on him. So names in Seoul land, they know that names affect a lot, and that is why many people, the naming culture is shifting. There has been a shift in that naming culture where much has been done to avoid names that play negatively on the destiny of the children. Yes, so they now try to give names, boost the morality of the children, and give them a brighter future, since they know it affects them. This is where now you find this naming culture where Nyoy has come in. Nyoy means God. And so you see most of the children that are named, you will now find Fonyuy, you will find Konyoy, Berry Nyoy, all the Nyoys now. This now, and it is like striking a balance between God with the capital G and God with a small g, so that when you are called Fonyuy, nobody will tell you whether it is Nyoy with a capital G or it is Nyoy with a small g, because the meta narratives, you know, the narratives that Christianity, everything that came from Christianity was good, thing that was African was bad, is what caused us not to have a lot of confidence in our own values.
Yeah.
And so since Christianity has come to stay, Islam has come to stay, you now find out that people are trying to make strike a balance. And it is what I think and I propose should be the indigenization of Christianity, indigenization of Islam. In that case, now there will be what they call inter dialogue will come, because if so long as they continue to obliterate the identity of the Africans, trying to cause them to be distracted from their own roots, there is a generation that is rising that will instead be harmful to these religions if we do not try to move towards the indigenization of the religions that have come. And one of them, as I've said, is through naming. See, look at the ridiculous thing that has happened over the years. Emmanuel, as we all know, is God with us. Now, so because of Christianity, you find a child being named Emmanuel Fonyuy. Emmanuel Fonyuy. Fonyuy means God with us. Emmanuel, God with us. So you see that it is if the namers of this child had understood that Emmanuel means God with us, we would have simply taken Fonyuy to baptize the child with, to avoid all of this tautology. If you go to Ngokitunja division, you see a child, they name a child the Pitango. Pitango is a tautology because Peter is the same as rock. Ango, Peter is rock, Ango is rock. So you name a child Pitango. That is ridiculous. You call a child Diodone Fonyuy. So these are the what I say has gone. These are the things that have gone wrong with the naming culture. And so apart from Christianity, let me go into the Islam. Okay, I taught in an Islamic school, and in that Islamic school, I from the class lists, I try to get the naming of the children to identify whether they came from which part of the northwest or southwest, and I discovered that those children were from Soland. And then you get a child with the name Fatimatu Sherifatu Umaru. There is nothing. Those are the names you find a child with, Fatimatu Umaru Sherifatu, and there is nothing that tells you that this child comes from Soland. So this is what this naming culture, which we are talking about. These are the damages, the distractions. Let me not even be so hard to call it damages. These are distractions that that the naming cultures have actually brought to us. It will touch almost all of the northwest region. Yes, there is the other naming culture which is done through divination. When they want to name a child, after they must have given the name of the child after the umbilical cord, then they go now to the other naming culture, which is done around the shrine of the family god, and that one is always to tell you the relationship that binds the people with the rest of the fondoms. In all of Cameroon. You will hear a child's name Wilmam. It means that in the course of divining the future of that child, the source, the origin of that child, they discovered that that child came, the spirit came from the Bamun land, because in so people call the Bamun. If you hear about Weba, I know you should know another popular Weba now. Weba means the spirit of that child. Yes, the spirit. Pardon?
No, I said Weba Falls. Yeah.
You know that the spirit of Weba comes from the Baba people. From the Baba land. So he is connected to the Baba land. If you hear about Winsunin, then some people call from Dongamatum, my God. Yeah, they were the Wimbum. Then some people call the Wimbum Sunin. And so when you hear a child's name as Winsonen, means that the spirit of that child came back from there. So you see, if you now destroy that naming culture, you have cut off links between that child and his family, his or her family gods and their ancestors. So that is what we find as a core, the problematic in this naming.
Okay, so some might argue that there is an indiscriminate glorification of the Black African past that ignores the potential benefits of modernization. They will advance that religious practice was not all bad; it saved us from ourselves in some cases. But surely we must take some responsibility for the part we played in eroding our own traditional practices.
Perfect. What you find, I talked about mega narratives and mini narratives. We are now in the post-modernist world. And in the post-modernist world, smaller, let me call little religions, they now count what you call the mini narratives. So now, our culture, our identity that had been pushed to the ground, we now have a place to bring it forth to the world. We are not bringing it forth. We are not bringing it forth to the world to tell the world that we have the best. No, a matter of letting me live and you live. Each and every culture has something to contribute to the world's civilization. It is not one culture that has to dominate. We have gone past the years of a single culture or a single religion dominating the world. We are in the postmodernist world, where every little or whatever mini narrative counts. Yes. So we are talking about glorification of a past. We are not actually glorifying our past, because the things that hold you to your heart, your culture is your life wire. I remember Professor Fondon, the Anthropological Fondon, said culture to a country is like a soul to a man. So if you think that the African culture should not be glorified because we are too passionate about it, then it is actually being terribly judgmental or whatever about our own ways of life. Christianity has a lot of passion too in it, and that is why somebody will not listen. Somebody will think that he talking African traditional religion is being too passionate. Every religion has that passion in it because it is a matter of faith. It is a matter of faith, and when it is faith, you don't try to read the emotions of people in it.
Exactly.
Hello.
Yeah. So anyways, we're almost at the end of the show. Thank you for holding on this far. So how do we get back to basics without losing the essence of who we are as a people in the current times?
Yes, we can't be talking and thinking that we can move back to the past. We can do a full cycle to the past. No, we have gone a long way to join the rest of the world in what they call the common, the global market, the world, the world civilization, which is one because of globalization. We cannot avoid what they call hybridity now. That is the midway between these the cultures, and in this hybridity, we as I said, the indigenization of the African, of Christianity, the indigenization of Islam is going to be a midway. I give an example. My children I'm a father of 5.
Wow.
And all my children, there is an English name. My first daughter is called Bulami Manywe Kimo. My second daughter is called Bulami Fonyuy then Bangza Bangzam. My third child is called Fonyuy. Bulami Fonyuy. The fourth is Tadzini, and then the fifth is Adzanyuy. So all these names have been used for baptism in the Catholic Church because they are talking about God. But we are talking about God using the Lamso word. And what is there, which I would like everybody to notice, that when I say Fonyuy, and so person will not go into a dictionary to find out the meaning of the name that has been given to him or her. But I had asked about Pamela. Pamela will be supposed to, if not, I'm sure you must have got the meaning of your name at, when you were already a grown up and maybe having gone to school to start inquiring what does Pamela mean.
Exactly.
Yes. So that is the difference. Yes. If you go to the Southwest, you talk about Akum, you talk about Ashu Nyensi, everybody will know that this is the meaning of this name, that you get Fela Ransankuti, Wuli Shoyinka. Those are identities, and nobody will go into a dictionary to look for the meaning of the names, to be told that this is the name of a saint who died because of this, that. No, that is the generalize the naming, so that when we are going into our faith, whether it is Christianity, Islam, we remain the people from where we came. I mean, we remain people from where we originated, meaning that we have to keep our identities, even if we have to embrace. As we have embraced Christianity, Islam and other world's religion. I know like he talked of in East India and the rest of the world, they have religions. So the religions should not, they shouldn't obliterate their identities.
Okay, so we are almost at the end of the show. We've got 2 minutes to go, and before we leave, there's always a little game that we play, which is called a rapid fire question round. And this round of questions require very quick responses, and you're not to think at all before responding. So you are to give your answer very quickly, as quick when the choices are read out. So are you ready?
I get you.
I'm saying that this last round is what we call a rapid fire question round. So I'll ask you questions. I'll give you 2 choices, so you choose one. So it's done very rapidly. You're not supposed to think too much about it. So I'm asking if you're ready. Okay, you're ready. Let's go. Right. Kenja Jumbam or Kemgong Kemsong?
I didn't get the first part. I got 2.
Okay. Kenja Jumbam or Kemgong Kemsong?
Kenja Jumbam.
Fufu and Jamanjama or Achu?
Fufu and Jamanjama.
Federalism or secession?
Federalism.
Poems or fiction?
Poems.
Born writer or mastered the art of writing?
I didn't get you.
A born writer or someone who mastered the art of writing?
Born writer.
Barefoot Beagles or Things Fall Apart?
Things fall apart.
You didn't say that loud enough.
Things fall apart as Stephen Kenny.
Okay. So Ferdinand Oyono or Mongo Betty?
Mongo Betty.
Okay. Nso or Banso?
Hey, Nso.
Coronavirus or Ebola?
None.
You have to choose one. Coronavirus or Ebola?
Do I have to choose one?
Yes.
Because I don't want to choose any.
You have to choose one.
Okay, Ebola.
Tradition or modernization?
Tradition.
Okay, well done. You see, you survived that round. But I'm wondering if you would change any of your answers if you had more time to think.
I don't think I will change it, because I was doing it with, if I had to say I'm taking things fall apart instead of Bafoot Beagles, I know very well that I am dealing where, I mean, I'm picking hey, hello?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, hello? Oh, sorry. Yes.
You're on a call?
Yes, I was very conscious of my choice, and I'm conscious, and it's not like going back to them.
All right. So, do you have any final words before we close?
Yes, I think it's really been a wonderful day for me, and with Daily TV and the wonderful viewers out there. And I was amazed when I got suggestions that we are coming online for us to do this to improve the quality, or to take this other option in order to succeed. Yeah. I think that it is a wonderful following that Daily TV has. Yeah. And apart from that, just the line of the Daily TV is something that, if all of us can exploit, will take us Africans, take us far, and improve us a lot, especially when it comes to us making better choices. I was really elated being part of this, and I say I am called Bulami Fonyuy. Okay. I keep the E silent.
Thank you so much, Edward, for honoring our invitation and for your patience despite all the connectivity and electricity problems. So we're grateful. I'll just quickly read back to our audience. I'll just quickly read some of the comments coming through here, and then we will close after that. So I have a comment here from Debath Marco James, who's saying preserving a natural hair is also culturally very important. It's as important as a name. And I have another comment here from Ima Aqua, who says, I do believe that the problem lies in the lack of sensitization of our traditional and cultural linkage to our names because of partly Christianity and partly religion. I think that a lot of us adults would leave our names if we were made to leave it and to see the pride it bears. I personally hated both of my names, Christian and traditional, in secondary school because it was a cause of mockery. It took me a while to love my name and accept it, and now I carry it proudly. I think Christianity and partly modernization, because you said partly Christianity and partly religion. We get you, Emmanuel. Ima, thank you for that. And I have a comment here from Yu, who is saying our names should really reflect our roots. If not, in the long run, our children won't know their origins. And from your name, I can tell where you come from, Yu. So Ima is saying, thank you, Daily TV, for the show. It was very amazing and very insightful. Please, there should be more topics related to our culture and tradition as that of today. Very good. Thank you so much, Ima, Yu, Debad Marco James, Herman Ja, Maureen Kiven, I'm anglicizing that. Maureen Kiven, Daddy Singer Phillips, Mike K. I know you as Michael Kongnoy, and Karin Yang, Juanzi Akbo, Roland and Diforoli, Rene Nebafu. Thank you, Lukong Nancy, Ayen Jika, and thank you to Mengnimo Joan and to Manoy Bulami. And I'm hoping I don't want to keep anyone out. One we resort, Divine Dufay, Marvis Bunda, Cyril, Inter. I'm not sure if that surname is your name. Franklin Fofung, we had you there for a bit. And Rigobert Lil Game. I'm not sure if that's okay. Rigobert, right? Colette Ima. And Panafrique was also here. So just thanking everyone there who took the time to be with us. We're so grateful for all your input, and thanks so much to, I'm trying to see who gave us the advice. That was one we saw who said we should do an audio call, and so that's what has actually worked. So thank you so much, one we saw. That has really helped us enormously. And to you all who were very patient as we had all the technical issues at the start, we're so grateful. And thank you again, once again, Edward, for joining us and for your patience throughout all this process, and for just jumping in with, that spirit of, yes, let's go on and get this done. We're so grateful, and thank you for that paper. It's been quite knowledgeable. We've learned a lot from this discussion as well. And keep up the great work writing these pieces, because it's kickstarted, for me personally, I don't know about our audience, but I would hope it would for them, thinking more clearly about naming. I used to think about names, but not as deeply as I did after reading your paper. So thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this segment of Facing the Facts. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.